Good. Let's keep on the problem 36 to problem maybe 38 or 39. Let's see. So we want to find the order pair xy satisfy this equation. Okay, now let's do it. So basically, if you are familiar with this one, we can see it's x3 over y, then minus the 4 over the x equals the negative 8, and the 2 over the y plus the 7 over the x equals to 43, right? So in this case, we can see basically is 1 over y is a variable. For example, we use the p, and the 1 over x is another variable. We use the q. Then basically it's become a linear equation. 3p minus 4q equals the negative 8. Then 2p plus the 7q equals the 43. Okay, so 1 and 2. Let's solve this one. Okay, solve this one. What we can do is the 1 times the 2 minus the 2 times 3 to cancel the p. Then we have the 1 minus 2 is, so it's negative 8q minus the 3 times the 7q is equal to negative 16 minus 3 times the 43. Then equal, this one is the 21 is the 29q. Negative 29q is equal to 5, 3, 4, 145 is equal to negative 145. So we can solve the q, right? Is 5. If q is 5, then we can solve the p is the 3p is getting to the equation 1, right? So is 20 is the 12, so p is 4. Then we can solve the x. So basically x is equal to 1 over q is 1 over 5. Then y is 1 over p is equal to 1 over 4. So this is the solution. Okay. Next one. This one, right, sounds like complicated. We are trying to solve the x over y, right? But we know this one. Okay, let's just multiply them first. Okay, it's x, y plus 1 equals 4y. But before we do this, we need to see y doesn't equal to 0, because we have 1 over y, and the x cannot be equal 0 because we have the 1 over x. And the second one tells us xy plus 1 equals 4 over x. Now we can see it clearly. What's this? It's on both sides, right? So this means the 4y equals 4 over x over 4. So that means x divided by y is equal to 16. Done. Next. Okay, so one morning each member of the Angela's family drink 8 ounces of the mixed milk or the coffees. Okay, so 8 ounces milk and the coffees each one. So we can see Angela drink a quarter of the total amount of the milk. Angela plus 1/6 a total amount of the coffee is equal to 8 ounces. Okay, now let's assume there are n people. Okay, there are n plus 1 people, right? So this means the rest of them is 3/4 plus 5/6 of the coffee is equal to 8 times n. Okay, so the question is asking us what is n plus 1. Now let's solve this equation, okay? This is the 1, this is the 2. So now let's do the common multiple of 4 and 6 is equal to 12. Now the first equation becomes the 3n plus the 2c equals 96. The second equation becomes the 9m plus 10c equals 96 times n. This is the 3, this is the 4. Okay, now we can try to solve the m and the c in terms of the n, right? So let's do the okay, let's do the 4 minus the 3 times 3. Okay, so then we cancel the m. Then we can have the 4 c is equal to the 96, the n minus 3. So we have the c equals to the 24 n minus 3. Okay. Again, we can do the 3 times 5 minus 4 to cancel the c. Okay. Then we can have the 6m equal to 96, 5 minus n. Then we have the m equals to the 16, 5 minus n. Okay, that's a very good thing. See, I mean, the c must be positive integer and m must be a positive integer, right? And so n minus 3 need to be greater than 0 and 5 minus n need to be greater than 0. So the only thing, n is an integer and n also have to be a positive integer. The only case is n equals 4. So there are 4 plus 1 equal to 5 people in that family. Okay, this one I have talked. It's one lecture talking about the linear algebra, how to do it. Okay, I do. But here I just want to show we're using the matrix to do the linear algebra. Okay, basically we do each column we only use the coefficients a, b, c, d, and a constant. Okay, let's do it now. Okay, let's copy it. So we have the 2 and the -3 and the 5 and the 1 is -41. This is the first equation. We have the 7 and 2 and -1 and 0 and -28. This second equation. We have the -1 and the 2 and the -7 and the -2 and the 46, third equation. And we have the 3 and the 7 and the -6 and the 1 and the 31. This is the fourth equation. Okay, let's do the linear transform. Okay, when we do the linear transform here, you already observe there is a 0, right? So we want to keep this one to 0. That's what we do is I want to keep the first equation no change. Keep the first equation no change. Okay, 5, and then 1, and -41. Okay, I want to cancel this one to 0 and this one to 0, okay? How do we do this one to 0 and this one to 0, okay? So we can do the first row, okay, times 2 plus the third row, okay? And the first row, we can use the fourth row minus the first row, okay? So let's copy the second one, 7 and 2 and -1 and 0 and -28. Then the third one becomes the the 3 and the -4 and 3 and 0 and -36. The fourth one becomes the 1 and 10 and the -11 and the 0 and the 72. Okay, let's do the second addition linear transform, okay? Now we are focusing on this three, because we already have this one to 0, right? So the coefficients to the A, B, C, and D, okay? We already have D is 0. It's a 3-variable equation now, right? Now we want to further reduce it. So it's easy to reduce this part, okay? So what I want to do is I want to do the fourth row, okay, times the -3 plus the third, and the fourth row times the -7 plus the second. Now what do we have? Keep the first is the same, 1, -41, okay? Since we are operating the fourth row, right? So now we have the 0, -68, plus 76, and the 0. It's -76 times 7, and we have the 0, -34, and 36, and 0, and -7 times the 36. And we have the last is 1, then it's 10, it's -11, it's 0, and 72. Okay, now if you observe this part, okay, this part is they are all multiple of 4. So we can divide by 4 of this equation, then we can get is -17, -19, 0, and -133. Okay, and this part is 2, right? So we can have the -17 and 18, and this one we have is -126. Now you can see these two equations, right? We only have the variable B and the C are here, right? And the B has the same coefficients, so that's why it's 2 and it's 3. So we can use the 3 minus 2, okay? We can get C equals -7, right? If we know the C equals -7, then you get the -7 here. We can solve the B, right? So B is 0. Okay, once you solve the C is -7 and the B is 0. Now you can get to this equation, right? This equation. So B is 0, C is -7, right? So you can get A is equal to 72 plus 11 times -7, so it's -5.